Welcome to our open source video. So what you're seeing right now is our actual booth that we took to open source. We had a very tight schedule, but luckily I had some people that actually came and helped me. So this is Barry. He actually has some experience, some actual real life product experience. So he's actually developed the radar sign. So if you've ever seen a sign on the side of the road that says how fast you're driving, this is the guy that did that. So yeah, I highly respect him, and he's been tutoring me a lot, teaching me a lot, and just helped me overall in this entire project, and actually helped fund this entire trip and booth itself. So again, thank you very much, Barry, and you guys will be seeing him on the project a lot. So on Friday night, we had a pretty nice day where there was a lot of free food, people dancing, music. So that was a very nice event. The actual event was opened on Saturday and Sunday. As the people who set up the booths, we had Thursday to set up, and then Friday to set up, and then Friday evening we actually had the party. Inside the actual venues, and there's multiple different buildings of different types of categories. The building that I was in, it was split off into also its own individual sections, and the row I was in was mostly science and so forth. So these guys were one of the booths that were near us. They're called Gems of Science, and they pretty much, what they do is they talk about gems and crystals and lasers. Primarily one of their interesting things is they'll actually get used and surplus lasers from Soviet Union eras and any places that they can really use laser crystals. So this is one of the things also that if you're a content creator and if you want to collaborate, we have a Rigaku NEXDE XRF spectrometer. It's a non-destructive way of doing elemental analysis, and this is the one thing that I provided to these guys and a lot of other content creators that I've met. But overall, a lot of really nice cool booths, a lot of robotics, a lot of animatronics, a lot of robotics. That definitely was the number one thing that we saw in this whole event. There was a bunch of robots riding around, driving around, just cool stuff. So this is actually one of my favorite booths that I saw, and these are the Microscopy Society, the Microscope Society. So I actually brought them some of my samples and analyzed it on their microscopes, and I learned a lot about microscopes, which I didn't know. Apparently different filters, for example, polarized lens before and after the sample to actually change how light goes through, and I show some of that video on video. But it was definitely a really cool experience learning about microscopes, and definitely I want to be able to get some microscopes to see, because I saw some really interesting things with the powder and membranes that I didn't realize before, specifically how fine and small these particles were. I did not realize that they got that small when I grinded them down. So yeah, it was quite interesting. Also made some really nice connections with them. There's this one guy that actually has connections to some really high-end scanning electron microscopes, so fingers crossed we can do some work on that, because definitely there's a lot of cool stuff we could do. So again, we have a more longer format video that talks about my booth, but I do want to emphasize this point is I really enjoyed being able to talk to so many different people. It was both a learning experience for me and other people. There was a lot of people there that were either really high technical that understood it immediately, and they're like, oh my god, this is incredibly amazing technology and immensely impactful, or there was just the everyday person that saw this, was curious and just was intrigued. They're like, wait a minute, what is this? One of the positive things I really liked is we had a lot of people say that our booth was the most interesting thing they saw from everything there, because most people had robotics or some other stuff that was nice or cool or fun, but this definitely was one of the few times that somebody brings such a novel human changing technology. But it was really beautiful. Also, I remember some kids, some young people that reminded me of myself when I was young, and they were just interested in looking and asking questions, and I was just so happy to see that, because it reminded me when I was young. When I started researching chemistry, and when I got interested in 3D printers, that they could do these cool things, and that got me into science and engineering. So I really hope at the very least I was able to get at least one person, one young mind to, drop a seed in his mind, so that then it will grow and fruit into something really beautiful when they grow. But other than that, it was definitely a lot of educational a lot of educational for myself, just knowing how to properly educate, properly explain what people understand, what people don't understand, how best to do it. So being able to do that hundreds and hundreds of times throughout these days is immensely important. Also met a bunch of other YouTubers, Smarter Every Day. We had a great talk with him. We also, interestingly enough, met with Sarah Gordo. This was a huge surprise. I just did not absolutely expect. We also met with Explosions and Fire, Applied Science, Nighthawk and Light, of course. That was a really exciting meetup because obviously we've collaborated over YouTube, but nothing actual in person. So across the row from our aisle, there was a setup actually on testing the material properties of obviously materials. So that was really an amazing thing to see. And there's a lot of things like this, similar things where people were developing the technologies to develop the technologies. And this is such an important thing that not enough, I think, people give appreciation to, right? A lot of people give appreciations to a fuel cell or a mining cell or whatever, but people don't give the appreciation to technologies like these that then make technologies like mine and other technologies possible. There's just so much amazing things that I really appreciate people doing, and definitely that is underappreciated aspects of just science and engineering. So yeah, with this booth, they were able to show the actual tensile force, so it wasn't anything crazy, nothing strong, but of course, you know, that's the whole point of having equipment like this, is that you can experiment, prototype, and see what different designs and different materials do with different things and results. So you know, you can't really know that without analytical equipment, and normally these analytical equipment costs a lot of money and are expensive and hard to access, but if you can actually open source it and make it for cheap and make it readily available, it just unlocks the capability. So there's also another booth, analytical analysis. Sadly, it wasn't for for my aspects, but yeah, there's just so much different things there that I definitely really appreciate people doing. So this is another booth that we met with that I found a lot of interest in. So this is actually a open source PCB layout design, and they have some AI integration. And I was so excited about this because I've tried Flux AI and I was incredibly not happy with it. When I mentioned that to them, they laughed and they're like, yeah, that's the most common thing we get. So yeah, very happy to see people actually create these alternative solutions. And then of course there was a lot of other fun individuals, like this guy that created a kayak, completely 3D printed it, brought it from New York. I was quite surprised he drove all the way. But yeah, there's people just from different backgrounds and enthusiasms, and just seeing him do this was really nice because again, it reminded me when I was young, and you know, I built something like this, and who knows, do something bigger with this project, and something bigger and something bigger and something bigger, and you know, eventually to the point where it's something we would not even imagine 5-10 years ago, so, or 5-10 years in the future. So yeah, definitely meeting up with people like this and, you know, seeing their enthusiasm and excitement. And then Sunday came by and I checked my phone and it was 5 o'clock, and I was quite surprised. I had a lot of people that I spoke to who had a lot more experience running booths that said that the weekend would flash by and I'd barely notice, and honestly it kind of was like that. I went there with expectations. I was going to meet all these big YouTubers and you know, content creators. I was going to make all these collaborations and connections, and although I did make a few really nice ones, it was not as much as I thought. But the biggest thing that is going to make me go back wasn't that, but rather the community. Talking to people, talking all the people that stopped by, supporters and new people that have never heard of this project. That, in my opinion, was the most amazing thing. That was an incredible learning experience and just an amazing time to, you know, meet with everyone. So if you stopped by my booth, thank you so much. If you gave us a chance, thank you so much. And if you've been a long time follower, thank you so much. And we're going to definitely be doing this a lot more. There's a couple other events we're already planning to go to. Maker Fair in Orlando, and we already have a couple other ones. There's a mining convention, Plant City. Just many. We're seeking out quite a few of these, so definitely I'll be attending these a lot more often. If you want to know which ones we'll be going to, best way to just join our Discord server. I'll try to post it on X if you follow me over there. But yeah, definitely Discord server is the best way to engage and being able to follow with the latest updates. But beyond that, we're back here in Florida. I got a lot more projects, a lot more videos up. As you saw, I already got that demonstration video, processing some galena ore. So we're gonna process some e-waste, some catalytic converters, some slag, so many materials. We already have some feedstock from a pretty significant YouTuber that just sent us some material that we met at Open Source. So definitely we have a lot of projects in mind, a lot of videos in mind. Also another video, next video I'm gonna do is about how I actually make the electrodes. So yeah, so many videos. Also I've made so many podcasts already and talks with other content creators. So many. So definitely you'll see a lot more content now on my YouTube channel, but I'm gonna try spacing them out probably every week, you know, just to give myself some breathing room. That way I can get content ready for the next many months instead of going on a 2 or 3 month break. So anyways, thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys for supporting the project, and please keep supporting us, keep spreading and, you know, sharing our videos, sharing our work. And I'm really excited about this movement that's going on, and I'm glad to be at least, you know, a part of it. Even though I'm quite doing a lot in order to push it forward. If I'm at least a part of it, I'm happy. So, thank you guys, and see you on the next video.